Mr. Scott Hughes is a political analyst joining us for a little bit. I have in front of me a social media post that you wrote yesterday. I support a constitutional convention. I believe we have come to the point we have to be willing to put it all on the table and build a new set of tools for legislators to work with, one designed for a modern economy. It's a risk, but given where we're headed, it seems to be reasonable. Okay, last time we talked, you were kind of looking at it. You were leaning toward. You thought it might.
You were fence walking.
You thought it might be a good idea. What has convinced you in the interim that it is time for Louisiana to tear one up and write another one?
Well, and I apologize ahead. I've got the allergy this morning, so my voice. But in all reality, I think what's finally put me, I've looked at it for a long time. I've studied the issues. What's finally put me over the top is, once again, another special session in the Louisiana legislature, a session that we are nearing the completion of, and we have no budget. We have no hope for a budget. And I have joined, I think, a chorus of others. Personally, this is me, and of course, professionally, who I work with, the Realtor Association. We have joined a chorus of others who have said the time may have come to look at it. Now, we're not saying we would support a document. People get confused.
Sure.
A constitutional convention is just a call to seat a process that will review the entire Constitution. And when you do that, the majority of the Constitution stays in. It's just those pieces that we think have problems end up getting new ideas. And that's what we think we need to look at, Robert.
One designed for a modern economy.
When you look at, there's basically been two constitutions in Louisiana in the, quote, modern era. What's referred to as the 1920s Constitution.
Yep.
And then they did it again in the 70s. When you go back to the 70s, Edwin Edwards was the governor. Oil was king. The state budget worked an entire different way. We didn't have a modern economy. We didn't have an e-economy. We didn't have the medical issues we have today. Not as many people went to universities. The entire system was different in 1970. And the truth, if you study politics, the reason we even had the 70 Constitution had less to do with economy, because oil was king, and more to do with the fact that Edwin Edwards was tired of running 3 times to win the governor. We used to have closed primaries.
The Constitution in Louisiana is said to be the largest in the country, the biggest. You just said you don't want to throw the whole baby out. So there are some that are saying we need to just throw this whole thing out and start over. But you think there are parts of it we should keep, even though it is one of the biggest in the country.
Well, and let me clarify that. I think that gets misquoted some, Erin. I don't think it's the biggest in the country. I've actually heard that Alabama's is the biggest in the country.
Okay.
I think what people comment on, it's the most amended in the country.
Ah.
If you take the United States Constitution, which is well over 200 years old, it's only been amended, I believe, 27 times. I need to check with my expert here with
Right.
me, but I think the U.S. Constitution has only been amended 27 times. The Louisiana Constitution, 40 years old.
Right.
72, 74. It has been amended over 200 times, 189 times, and some amendments have failed because every amendment's something that we, the people, decide to add. So when you have a 40-year-old document that we've already decided to change over 180 times, it may be flawed.
Stephen Wagaspack from the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry is sort of in your corner on this, too, as far as constitutional convention goes. But he has a little bit of sort of an asterisk, if you will. He says it's if it's politicians in charge of the Constitutional Convention, we're in a world of trouble because it's politicians who got us where we are. What do you think?
I haven't talked to Stephen about this at all. I know I'm here today, but I'm not the standard bearer for this issue. I've just taken, I guess, a public position. No good Facebook post shall go unpunished, I guess. But
That's what you get, buddy.
I think what people look at is, a lot of people will support the idea of looking at something new. And even House Bill 500, which is a bill that's currently before the legislature, it technically got enough votes yesterday, but not 2/3 to pass, because people want to get down in the weeds. They're concerned about who's going to make the decision. And so you'll see legislators, they don't want to give up their power. They want to be the Constitutional Convention.
That's what I was just going to ask. Not only legislators, but specifically in Louisiana, the governor. How on earth is the governor, no matter the party, I would assume, or any legislator going to give up any of their influence, power, and or juice?
Well, if you're at, and you ask my opinion of how we go, and I think this is where Stephen and I may share a commonality. If you look at constitutions, I believe, should be written by the people, not the legislators. not the governor. And you back up to the famous Declaration of Independence that was written by people that came together in Philadelphia. We then had the states adopt the Constitution, and now we turned the Constitution over to the legislature and the courts to implement.